What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, a celebration of the indie and obscure. I'm one of your hosts today, Josh, and I'm joined by one of my wonderful co-host, and good guy, handsome fella, Steve. How are you?
Good. I feel like you usually call on me, but I always have like a little pregnant pause, a little anticipation. Like, is it going to be? Am I the handsome guy today? Can't wait to find out if it's me or not. But no, I'm doing fantastic. It's a lovely evening, following on from a lovely weekend. So I'm excited to chat many a good indie-related topic with you today. But I'm not the only one who's here. That other handsome fella, the 50-50 split, that could have been him. We got Seth. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Excited to chat with you fellas about games that you've already played. Well, one of you at least, right?
Right.
We are doing a second opinion, which is personally one of my favorite episode offshoots that we do. So excited to do that. We always have a good conversation, I think, when we have second opinions.
I agree with that 100%. And it's kind of the last opportunity in many ways for me to prioritize some of these games. So I appreciate that we have these just to pull some stuff out of my backlog that was sort of forced into low priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like Steve brings it to the show. I'm like, okay, I can back pocket that for a few months if I still want to play it. You know, I don't have to play it like right now because we brought it to the show already. That's kind of how it ends up being a lot of times.
I have a tier list in my head. This is something I want to bring to the top tier, something I want to bring to the show, and I don't think either of my co-hosts have ever heard of. Then below that, next priority is something I want to bring to the show that we're all excited about. Then below that, it's just something I want to bring to the show that we know about, but I'm just the first one getting to it. Then under that, there's a pretty big gap, and it's like, well, someone else brought it to the show, but it's within Game of the Year still, so I could play it in the year it came out. Mm-hmm. And then below that, one of you guys brought it to the show, and it's not the year it released, it's second opinion or bust for those guys. Like, it's very low chance I'm going to play those. Yeah. I mean, obviously, unless it's something I've like really been wanting to play for a long time, but it's pretty slim pickings for games in that bottom tier. So I'm very grateful for these.
I've gotten to the point now where I will be perusing Steam and I'll be like, ooh, look at this cool 2025 indie. And I'll click on it and see, both Blink and Frantic have wishlisted this one. So it's the Spider-Man meme where it's like, one of us is going to bring this thing. It's a nice little standoff. But hey, that's good. You know, if we're all interested in indies. I mean, Josh, I think you wishlist a lot just because you've said it in the past, like you like to support the devs and stuff. But when we all are on top of it, it's like, oh, who's going to bring that one?
Yeah, it's just more like for the wishlist thing, it's like this game looks at least somewhat interesting, or maybe I should keep my eye on it. I'll click that button. I know it helps the number for them on their end go up, and then it helps me stay on track with everything. And then I get like the weekly, or it's more than weekly, but I'll get like this game release. I was like, what game is that? And I click into it like, oh yeah, this one. Okay, cool. Maybe I should pick it up. You know, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people must think that we are always in the DMs chatting with each other about indies, and we're talking a lot, but there's surprisingly little talk about various indies because we all are so obsessed with keeping our cards close to the chest that every now and again we'll drop a link to something that's like far enough out in the future where it's like, no one can play this right now, so let's get excited about it. But if the game's out now, it's like, I'm not going to give up my secrets. I'm not going to give up the special, herbs and seasonings on the games I'm going to bring to the show.
Oh yeah,
yep,
definitely.
If Josh drops the newly released indie, I'm like, well, it's yours now, buddy. Even if I had just seen it or something, you claimed it, so
it's mine now.
Yep.
Well, speaking of games that are coming out in the future, nice little segue. Nintendo just had their Nintendo Indie Showcase, which we were talking off camera that I miss when it was called an Indie Showcase. I just think it had more identity when it was that way, but hey, it is what it is. Any games from that one stand out in particular from you guys, except for, Silk Song shadow dropping, Hades 2 shadow dropping, the big stuff happened, right?
Yeah, it's an exciting week, I hope everyone's having fun with Silk Song.
Yeah. Finally.
I will love to hear the story from the person in 2 years who listened to this episode but had just started listening to our podcast and was like catching up or whatever. It was like looking back like, wait a minute, like trying to or it would be the funniest thing if it actually hasn't come out yet in 2 years and they're like, what? But
These guys are full of it.
Yeah, I've got a couple on my list of things that I was excited for. So I'll go first because the first one I want to mention, I think both of you were probably also excited for. But I claim this one. This is my time to shine and claim an indie. Okay. And fortunately, it also goes along with a game that I brought last year and was on my Game of the Year list. That being Crypt Custodian, and this new game being Well Dweller. And frankly, the Thompson Bros, I will probably play about any game they release, no matter what it looks like or sounds like, although they almost all look and sound pretty similar to each other. It's just, they add flavor in terms of how the game plays. Like, Crypt Custodian was top-down, whereas this is more side-on, more like Islets or something like that from previous, or Sheepo. But this one looks like it's almost a little bit more in the vein of like Assault and Sanctuary. There's a lot of there seems like your character is like dodge rolling behind the enemy to try to like get the jump on them. More Dark Souls-y, which is cool. I mean, there was dodge rolling in Crypt Custodian 2, I suppose, but it just felt more Zelda-y, and whereas this one almost looks like a more hardcore experience, which I'm absolutely here for.
Yeah, and Crypt Custodian had like sometimes almost kind of a cute art style. I wouldn't call it cute, but it was more like rounded and friendly. This one is got a little bit of like a spooky energy, like a little Halloween energy going on there. There's people like with big horrifying decaying teeth and stuff in all the little clips you see of bosses and things like that. I think this might be the darker, middle entry in the Crypt Custodian extended universe or something like that, but it looks awesome. It looks really good, so I'll definitely check it out.
It makes me think, like, I love Crypt Custodian. It makes me want to go back to the other games. What is it, Sheepo and Islets, right? The two before. Yes. I haven't played those two, so it's kind of like maybe in the meantime before this one comes out, I'll go back and play those two because I know they're not super long and they, just to see like their whole catalog because Crypt Custodian was very impressive to me. I really love that game.
Yeah, super good. And in Well Dweller, they like zoomed out in that footage to show like some of the map at parts, and it's this massive overworld map. And I'm just thinking to myself, guys, it's been 2 years since Crypt Custodian. Where did you find the time to develop a whole ass game? This is wild.
It has not been 2 years. It's been 1.
See, even more intense. Oh
I assume they were developing them at the same time, but Crypt Custodian was a 2024 game, and I think it was fairly late. It was latter half of the year, and this one's coming out latter half of this year, right? Or is it coming out next year? I can't remember what.
It says 2026. It just 2026, so it's next year. So it'll be 2 years by the time it comes out, but still, it looks like a whole ass game from the trailer already. Right?
It looks finished. Like, what else do they have to do? They are cranking them out, and I'm here for it. I want more of that. Whenever they release stuff, I'll be all over it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a good pick. That was the first one on my list. I'll take one then. This is a game I don't keep up like as closely with some like showcases and stuff as I should, so I never know if a game has already been announced or not. But they showed a game called Herdling, which seemed kind of interesting to me. It's from the folks that make Far, so like Far Lone Sales, right? Which is a series that I've heard a lot of good things about, but I just haven't had the opportunity to check out yet. But I like the idea of it. It seems like sort of a cross-country sort of puzzle game where you're herding these kind of like buffalo-style creatures the entire way. So this is the type of game I kind of imagined back in the day when I first saw the initial like reveal information for Kena Bridge of Spirits. I thought there'd be like a little bit more of like getting the little rot guys to kind of go where you want them to, which in the end it was more of a Pikmin thing, but I think it could be a lot of fun to like be wrestling with this giant sort of unruly group of dudes while also trying to do like environmental navigation style puzzles, which I already sort of enjoy. So very, very interesting idea. One that I will for sure keep my eye on.
Yeah, it looks really unique. It kind of has like a very like, it just has a mood to it. It's kind of like somber. It looks a little sad. Maybe it's the color palette from it. Something about it makes it feel a little like, I don't know, like I said, a little somber or sad or like melancholy. Maybe it's like beautiful and melancholy together. That type of vibe, just from the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
My brain was thinking, it's like, okay, Jusant was colorful and you went up. Herdling is desaturated and you go forward, but they're the same. They feel similar to me in some way.
Yeah, I feel it.
I agree with that.
Oh, and also that one's on Game Pass when it comes out on the 21st, and it comes out this month, so that's always nice.
Yeah, let's go. Very exciting.
This game appeals to the farmer in me, I suppose, the herding aspect. So yes, I could get down with. When we were kids, we had horses, right? And we would do this thing called team penning, where there are 27 cattle at the end of an arena, and you go and you try to carve out whatever number they call, right? There are 3 of each cow, right? So if they call 1, there are 3 ones, and you try to put them into a pen. And so, yes, this type of game is interesting to me in that way.
That is incredible. I had no idea that you were like a 4-sport cattle herder. I'm not surprised to learn this at all, but this really rounds out my picture of you.
To be completely fair, my brother was much more into it. My dad, of course, much more into it than I was. I did it a few times, and I had like a specific team penning horse, but I did other things more often with that horse than I did that. But still, a thing that I was around very often, and we would go to like weekend tournaments and things like that. So, but anyway, herdling looks cool.
Just more lore building for the captain. That's all. That's all we have going. You got your boots, and you're gonna go herd some things. Yeah. All right. The one I wanted to shout out. I did mention this one on the show when John was on recently. Is Ball X Pit, but they actually put out a trailer for it with a release date, which is October 15th. Brick Breaker meets Vampire Survivor meets Hold Down meets Loop Hero. You know, it's kind of like a mix and mash of a bunch of genres, but it just looks like a video game, which, you know, I'm down for. Brick Breaker and add roguelike to it, I'm instantly like, all right, let's see what we got, you know? So it looks really cool.
I had heard of it because you had brought it to a different episode, Josh, I think, when we were talking about games we were excited for. And I looked into it and I'm like, that is definitely looks like a very cool game. But now this indie world has taken it from, ooh, cool game, to that might be a must play. That might be something I have to squeeze in.
That is exactly the same situation I find myself in, where I had been like, I was aware of it, and a couple people actually, Josh, you had brought it to my attention, and I think it was our mutual friend Matt Quo had also showed it to me. And I was like, yeah, you know, that seems fun. I have a little bit of in my heart unfair skepticism of like, I'm like, Balatro already did it well. Do we really need all these games chasing that Balatro money? But that's obviously just ignorance on my part, because I watched this trailer in particular and I was like, oh no, for sure I'm going to play this game. This game looks, it honestly kind of looks like what I wanted Nubby's Number Adventure to be in some ways. So yeah, I'm 100% down. Almost certainly we'll get to it before the end of the year.
Yeah, just like I just seen so many like trailers. In the trailer, it just shows like you have like a multi-ball of like 30 balls just destroying a bunch of stuff. You know that's going to feel good, and you're going to feel awesome when you get that synergy going.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, any other things you guys want to mention from the show here? It's a very short thing. I think it was like 15 minutes. I will say we did get a code for what was the game? Is This Seat Taken? And my partner actually played through that on Friday night or Saturday. Really enjoyed it, and I plan to play it at some point soon too. So thanks for Wholesome Games, not Humble. Wholesome Games actually sent that code to our email. I just randomly saw the email. I was like, okay, you know, is the seat taken? Let's do it, you know. So shout out to Wholesome for that. But that one looks really cute too. I was kind of watching over their shoulder. It's like a puzzle game where there are a bunch of these cute shapes and you have to kind of like arrange them in like buses or like benches outside by the beach and stuff like that to like oh, this person's a little stinky, so maybe I'm a little more sensitive to smells. Don't seat those people together, but maybe seat that stinky guy with somebody who likes music because he likes music too. And you kind of like figure that puzzle out. And it's very simple but cute, and looks like a lot of fun.
That was the next game on my list, so you covered it, and everything you said sounds cool. And I'm glad that you guys have a chance to play it, because it was a game that was like, this is probably a game that one of us should get around to. So it's great that you are, Josh. But yeah, just got a very, very nice aesthetic too, right? It's just a very adorable game. So
yeah, my partner was like so excited about it. I was like, well, I got a code, you can play it. You're good. Just use my account. It's like, it's just one of those things. So it's like day one, I want to play this, because every time, well, they don't watch every one of these type of showcases with me, but that was one that has come on like a few different ones. Like it was on the Wholesome one, obviously, and then it was on a few other ones. And every time it pops up, they were like, I need to play that right when it comes out. So it was nice that they had that opportunity. So anything else that stands out?
The only other two I had written down, one was Glaciered, which I just like. I have a curiosity about what the hell that thing is. It's like you play as an alien, and it's an underwater action, maybe also turn-based RPG set in like a far future ice age. It's just the most random combination of nouns and verbs that I'm like, I gotta try this thing when it comes out. It seems so weird.
It does seem so weird.
This one just looks like a PS2 game that your friend tells you about, and then you just go randomly buy it because he's like, yeah, dude, don't look anything up. Go try Glaciered. I promise. It's the weirdest thing you've ever played, but it's awesome. It has that energy to it.
That's very... I mean, my entire energy, anyone that stopped by the stream, like, I'm chasing that feeling every day of my life, is trying to find that PS2 game, basically. So it might be the best game I've ever played. So I'll keep an eye on that one for sure. And then the other one, Josh, I thought maybe this was more of your thing than mine, but I'm curious if you felt any kind of way about Neverway.
Neverway, I like the art style. It really did stand out to me, especially because it's the Celeste pixel art people. So it's like, oh, it started playing audio on me. I just jump scared myself. Anyway, I love the art style of it. It looks beautiful. It seems like it could be up my alley. When does this one come out? That's my question.
I love the way this game looks. It is just, I don't remember if they said or not, but I don't love this is going to, and I should expand my horizons and just play a game like this, because it's this and other things, but I don't love farming games, and that's what this game is, right? It's like a spooky farming game or something. Like I was a farmer, and maybe that's why I don't enjoy farming in games, but I just never really have. So
I was going to say, this guy literally says that he did competitive cattle herding, but he's like, but I can't. The ranch is so boring to me. I don't want anything to do with it.
I just want to get out there, I don't want to be stuck in my garden. But,
I mean, that's kind of how I felt too, where it was one of those situations where the art style came up, and I'm like, leaned forward, like, okay. And then they're like, the pixel artist from Celeste, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, OST by Disaster Piece, and I'm like, keep going. And then they show like blue and black Stardew Valley, and I just like slumped back into my chair, like, oh well,
yeah,
maybe it'll be good. I'm rooting for everybody else on that one.
I just get so worried that it's never going to end. That's my thing, is like, I'll play it, but I don't want to get sucked into it because I have other things I need to play. So maybe this game is a short and sweet one, which I would be totally fine with. But I know the majority of these have like an endless mode, at least, where all you do is farm, right?
Yeah, it's like a fantasy life. You beat the story, like the 48, 50-hour story, whatever it is, and then it's like, okay, but you can grind all your jobs if you want, like everything that you do. Oh, or you can do your farm. You can manage your town. So it's like never ending. So there is I don't know. I think that the actual like combat outside of the farming parts do look good. It looks like a Zelda or like Hyper Light Drifter, right, or something. So I will keep my eye on it. We'll see what people say. Maybe that's one that it'll sneak onto my list at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, but that was all for me. I mean, I don't know. Mina the Hollower still looks great too, but I think we've talked about that game like every time there's been a showcase. Everybody knows it's going to be awesome.
I mean, UFO 50 coming to Switch. That's cool. And I know eventually it's going to come to PlayStation one day, right?
I mean, they said coming to Switch is a timed exclusive, which implies it's exclusive from some other console. So I was like, okay, so you're kind of telling me there's maybe going to be a PlayStation version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Comes out.
Yeah. For UFO 50, because it's now in the past, for me, that would kind of deprioritize it. Even if it does come out to PlayStation, I would want to play it. And if we decide to do a podcast on it, then of course I'm going to.
Yeah.
But it will no longer be a contender for GOTY, right? Like that kind of sucks. Like I wish it would have come out on consoles in the year at least.
Like everything
Yes.
launching at the same time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It's such a console game. It makes
Yeah.
like of all the games, it is a console game. It's literally a console game. So why did they not put it on consoles? But
yes. I played 50 ravenous hours of that game. I loved it, and then I just had to like hold myself back by the shirt collar to stop myself from playing 250 hours of it. So as soon as it hits consoles, I can release all that tension and just go crazy on that thing.
Get your platinum trophy, all the cherries in it and everything. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that our plan for that, I know some people have actually asked, so I'm just going to address that. Our plan for UFO 50 is when it comes to PlayStation, we're going to give it some time so everybody can do their thing. Like I know Steve and Seth are going to go crazy on it when it comes to PlayStation, most likely, especially if there's a show planned for it. We'll give it a little time after that, and then we'll do like a full like UFO 50 extravaganza and just do the full breakdown of all the games in it and our favorites and all that stuff. So I thought this was a solid Nintendo showcase, though. Like, a lot of people were kind of hating on it. I think people get a little too hyped for these, like, always, especially since Silk Song is, like, it's coming out. Like, they've had it, like, you know, I guess it's coming out. You know, it's, like, listed on Xbox. Like, it's been rated in multiple countries. Like, you know, all the things and signs point to this game's coming out very soon. So it not showing up here was, like, the biggest disappointment for most people. And I'm like, it could show up there, but if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised. That's how I was going into this. I'm like, they're gonna just release it when they want to release it on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in that show because it's in every showcase.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to show a trailer for Silksong to get people talking about Silksong. So I don't even look for it anymore. I'm always for these things. I'm always just like either show me a PC game that I missed that's coming to a platform I play more often, like a Nintendo, or just show me new stuff that I haven't seen before. That's what I get most excited for.
Yeah, and I think this pretty much nailed it when it comes to that. It's like there's just good solid 10 plus games here. I'm like, okay, I might try this, you know, which is better than you can say for a lot of stuff. So, all right, well, let's do it. We did second opinions this time. We had Dean assign who was going to pick for who. Who wants to go first on and let us know which game you picked and what you thought of it when you played it during these 2 weeks?
I'll go first since my games are up there first. It's just I don't know if you guys want to go down the list or not, but all right. I may have spoiled it a little bit to my co-host here after the last episode, but I was saying that there was one specific game on here that I was feeling bad about not having played. And one of those games is a standout in terms of that. I will list the games that Josh assigned for me. And as a reminder to everybody, in case you didn't listen to the last episode, or I would recommend you go back and listen to like the last 20 minutes of the last episode to understand what we're doing here. But little brief recap. We each gave each other 3 games. And we pick one of them to play, basically. So each of these 3 games are games that Josh put on the quest log and assigned to me. So the 3 games were Lost Words Beyond the Page, 1000 Times Resist, and El Paso Elsewhere. Of those 3 games, I felt bad specifically about not playing 1000 Times Resist. but I played Lost Words Beyond the Page.
Oh, I'm
What a
surprised.
twist. That was my third pick for sure.
Awesome.
Yep. I had just listened to, because I go back and I haven't gone like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. I kind of bounce around in the first like 25 or so episodes and just pick stuff that I'm interested in, but I've gone back and listened to some early IQ. And so I had listened to Josh talk about this game not all that long ago in comparison to when Josh actually talked about this game. So a little bit of context about Lost Words Beyond the Page. Josh put it on the main quest on episode 20, which was a long time ago now. This is episode 117. Yes. It's so long ago. This game came out in 2021. And on that episode, Josh, you said, oh, this game came out like a month ago. Like, that's what's wild about what time, I suppose.
Yeah,
like it was.
That's awesome. Just a little bit for me on this one is I even said it last time. I put this on both your guys' lists because I was kind of like, oh, I'm curious because it's been so long, and I remember liking it back then. I wonder if it aged well. So I guess we'll find out.
We will find out. So it was developed by, just a little brief overview here. Usually for these second opinion episodes, we don't do like the whole deep dive. We just do some high level stuff and then we have a conversation, right? And usually what I do is I talk about things I like and then talk about things I liked less, right? So developed by Sketchbook Games. Like I said, it came out in 2021. It was on basically everything back in 2021. PS4, PC, Xbox One, and Switch. And the genre soup is not much of a genre soup. To me, it's a narrative-focused puzzle platformer. That's what it is. It does a lot of interesting things, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a moment. But for the most part, it is a story-based platformer where there are also minor puzzles here and there. So, things that I like about Lost Words Beyond the Page. First of all, I assume, Josh, you remember, I assume, Steve, you've got it pulled up, but the art style of the entire game is really good. But there are actually two distinct parts to this game. In one part, you play as, like, Izzy is the character who is actually, like, writing her journal and then also writing a story, right? A book. Technically, she's a younger girl at the time. I don't know that she ever says, but I assumed around 12 or 13, maybe. But she's got a journal that she journals in, that she also is writing a full-fledged, like, fairy tale. And those are the two sections of the book of the game that you bounce back and forth between. So you have like this pencil-drawn character that you can actually like scale across words in the journal portion. So Izzy will be writing them. Not actually, you don't see her writing, but the words come on the page and you can control a character that can actually jump and use the words as platforms. And the kind of cool thing about it is her writing style in the journal section is very interesting and unique because sometimes she's frustrated about something or sad or very happy. So sometimes she's like very organized in her writing and other times she's not, which makes for some interesting platforming challenges. Which is fun. This game is never a hard platformer ever. It just wasn't designed to be that way. It was designed to be story first. But I very much enjoyed a lot of the journaling sections of platform because of the sentence structure and things and the ways that they played with the words so that you could actually platform to them. I also, I guess I should comment, that's the journal section. The storybook section is also gorgeous. I kind of relate, or my comparison, I suppose, for the storybook section is something like akin, I suppose, to like a Planet of Lana in the color and even so far as like the movement, it's certainly more slow and intentional, not quite as much as Planet of Lana. But it does have that energy where you're kind of moving slower. And a lot of that is because as the story is told, there are always words coming on the page, even in the storybook sections. You don't actually platform onto those, but it's still on screen. So you're kind of reading as you're platforming. It's an interesting dynamic in that way. Next thing that I really like is the music. Music is very good, orchestral, everything that you could think of. Another comparison with Planet of Lana, although I would say that I probably like Planet of Lana's music a little bit better. This is still really, really good. There was not a single song in this entire game that I was like, "Ugh, I kind of wish that's grading," or I wish that I would get to a different section so I didn't have to hear that anymore. It's all just like a lot of really good instrumentation, really pleasant, really calm and serene for the most part, but certainly gets a little bit dark and moody at times because of the events that take place in this game. For the gameplay, I kind of already touched on this, but I really liked the journal section a lot. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was extremely unique that you're literally platforming on like notebook paper. That's cool. That's not really something that I've done in another game. So whereas the storybook section is also cool, it's also just like I've seen it a million times in a lot of platformers. So it's just not as unique as being able to be on that notebook paper. Like it was very cool in that way. And you know, kind of going into that same thing, the uniqueness and the creativity of this game because of what I was just saying, I very much enjoy that as well. I like the places that they went, and I like that they were able to tell a story, a full-fledged, well-told story throughout this entire game without you never, or not never, but very rarely are you stopping movement while the story is being told, which is cool. Right. Too often with these kind of platform games, they want story to be first, and they make you sit and click the X button, right? Or whatever controller you're using. This doesn't do that. The story is being told as you play, so it's kind of cool in that way. It makes it feel like it's a pretty nice, tight experience rather than, okay, I'm going to go platform. Okay, I'm going to read for 20 minutes, or I'm going to listen for 20 minutes, right? So I like that about it. There's some choices that you make, which are very cool. Like it actually, you're even allowed to pick from 3 different names for the main character in the storybook section. Yeah. I picked Georgia, but there were 2 other names. I can't remember what they were. But literally the voice actors say Georgia so many times. So that means they also said the other 2 names so many times throughout the game. So I enjoyed that. I like when little unique touches like that with these kinds of games. Like if I make a choice, maybe I'm comparing it. So I'm also playing Dragon Quest VIII right now. And in Dragon Quest VIII, you name your character and they refer to you by name, but they never actually speak it, right? And so I enjoy when there's a touch like that where they actually speak the name that you choose. The story itself is good. It's very heartfelt, very touching story. Gets a little bit dark. I would say this is like, it's not a hard platformer, and I would recommend it to children. But it's pretty sad.
Yeah,
so
it's like Lion King, where it's like it's great, it's a beautiful movie, but there is parts where it's a little dark, and you might have to explain some things if you have a kid playing it, right?
Right. It would be great. It would be a great game. Not trying, I suppose this isn't a very serious spoiler, but for me, it'd be a great game to recommend to a younger kid after they'd experienced loss of some kind, right? Because I feel like it would be a good game to play when they're feeling down and kind of be able to relate to a character, Izzy, in game, right? Because she also experiences a form of loss. So very cool. And it even choked me up a little bit. I've experienced loss. And it's just
you're not herding cows anymore, so
no.
you're mournful about it.
Yeah, right, exactly. The day is done and I'm sad, and I relate to Izzy. But I mean it's a well told story. The narrator is also very good. I enjoyed the narration. It never got like annoying ever.
I don't know who the narrator is. I forget, but it was like they touted that we got this awesome voice actor to do all the narration for the game. I don't remember who it was, but I remember at the time being like, oh, that's cool,
Yeah, I should have written it down. I didn't. It was, I don't know that, I assume the game was developed in the UK based on like the accents and the way that everything was written. and it seems like the narrator was also from the UK. I don't know that for sure though, but that's what it sounded like to me. Either way, it was good. It wasn't like weird for an American to be able to read or listen to, I suppose. So the other thing that I enjoy, the last thing before I get to my next little bit here, there are abilities that you can use in the storybook section, and they were mostly fun to use. You have like a storybook with it's like a book journal type thing in the storybook section itself that you can actually take the words from and allow you to progress, kind of Metroidvania style, although this isn't a Metroidvania at all. It's just a regular platformer. But like the word might say break, and you might have something in your way that you have to like bust through, like a cracked wall. Well, you have to open your book up, and then you grab the word break and then put it on the rocky wall, and it gets destroyed. And I thought that was cool because there are several different words that you can use throughout the game that make it so that, especially towards the end of the game, it's like, oh, what do I do for this one? And then you kind of have to like puzzle it out. Like there were a few times where I'm like, I'm not entirely sure what this thing really requires. So I'd try a few different words on it to see what worked. But yeah. I suppose before I get to the things that I liked less, Josh, do you have any other thoughts on anything I said?
No, I mean, I think you're nailing everything. Steve, have you played this in the meantime, or is it just like, maybe just never got around to it? Something else came out probably, or something like that, most likely, huh? I think Chicory was like around that time frame too. Like I think it came out near that area, you know? So maybe you were playing that instead of this.
I was, yeah. And if I'm being honest, like, I get this game crossed in my head just from a title perspective with Lost in Random. That would happen less now that I played The Eternal Die recently, so like it's a little fresher in my mind. But the original Lost in Random and then this one, they're both games with Lost in the title that I associate with you, Josh. And so they just like jump back and forth. And so I kind of like, literally, this sounds like a pathetic excuse, but my brain would be like, is that one? I can't remember. I'm not sure. Well, I'm just not gonna think
No,
about
I mean,
it
there's literally 5 games releasing as we been talking on the show. So I mean, if you miss a game, it's not the end of the world.
And I mean, like, that's a completely BS excuse because the other like famous example of this is Outer Wilds, Outer Worlds, and Outer Wilds is my favorite game, and I did play it. So it's like, shut up, Steve. But at the same time, that is my excuse for kind of never going back to it.
Awesome. All right. So going to the stuff that I liked less, I suppose. The storybook section in general, I didn't like as much as the journal section for a few different reasons. Now, I do love the way it looks, but while playing it, and I don't know if this was, I feel like you said this in your review, Josh, way back in 2021. But there's like some stutteriness that usually I don't mind. But for me, this time, as I was playing this game, it was pretty distracting. Like if you have a word out and you're moving, it can like jitter across the screen in a weird way. And so it just felt like, oh, I don't know why they didn't smooth that out type of thing before they released it. Yeah, you know, is it the biggest deal? No. But it did take me out of it a little bit. There were other times where it was like Georgia, which was what my character's name was. She'd like get stuck in weird ways and just be like, ooh, like wiggle into position. It's like, okay, you know, I don't know why. You know, it's a smaller game, so it makes sense that stuff will happen. But I suppose my problem is that from an early onset of starting to play this game, I was comparing it to Planet of Lana, and so that's a tough comparison, especially in terms of like graphics and the way that it plays, because while I would say that Planet of Lana's gameplay is also not the greatest thing in the world, it is as smooth as butter for sure from start to finish. So I was kind of making that comparison as I was playing, which didn't do that section any justice, I suppose. Also, I personally really enjoyed the journal section so much that I almost felt like the story section was less needed. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
They could have just kept to the journal maybe it would have been a shorter game, or they could have fleshed that out more. Like that to me was the most interesting part. And then they, you start to do the storybook section, and it's also fine, and they tell a nice story. But literally, the two stories that are being told are they intertwine certainly, but they are two separate stories. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That was just my feeling on it. Like I didn't feel like it was extremely necessary, and I personally would absolutely play another game by this dev where they just did the journaling part, because it was good.
It's unique because it's like you said, you're in a journal, and then they do like cool things to the journal, like a painting will appear in the journal, and a bunch of words will be around it, and you got to kind of piece it out and puzzle in there, stuff like that. I'm trying to put my head in that headspace of that time frame, but I think that what I thought was like the stories were kind of more thematically tied. There's like things that happen in both, but like you said, it could be two separate games almost, right? Like you could like do part one, which is just a storybook, and then part two, which is just the more like fantasy realm or whatever.
And it's cool that they were. I like their ambition of putting them together, and of course, Izzy, the character, like the actual person writing the journal and the story, is the same person. So you can see where while she's writing her journal entry, you can literally see her feelings, right? She's journaling about how she's feeling. And then you can see how that impacts the storytelling that she's doing. So from that perspective, cool, right? Good.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like that they were intertwined in that way. The journaling section was so unique that it made the storybook section a little bit more bland to me, even though it was extremely good looking.
Yeah, it's like more like just generic, because you have this special sauce on top of a generic thing, basically. Yeah, gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Pacing can be a little weird, and I know it's kind of hard to do in this type of game. Again, very ambitious. But while they're telling the story, if you decide to be a little bit exuberant and get ahead of yourself, all of a sudden, like they either start like forgetting a period or a comma, basically, and they're just like reading and then like reading again, then reading again, then reading again. Or the words are literally off screen by the time they actually start reading them. So you've already read what you know is going to be said by the narrator eventually. I know that's kind of hard to control, right? Should I have just been plodding along? But probably. But we've all been there, right? We all have played a million platformers where it's sometimes like, oh, I see what I need to go do. I'm going to go do that thing. And then the story is being told in the background, which, again, like I said, that's very cool that's happening. It can create a pacing issue depending on how quick of a player you are, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's the majority of the things that I wasn't as big of a fan of. I guess any other thoughts from either of you two before I mention where I would have put it on the quest log?
I don't have any other questions, but I'll be curious to know, and I'd be curious for maybe each of our games to know this, but as you kind of wrap into your conclusions, do you think I should play this? As the only host that has now not played this game, would you recommend that I check it out?
Yes. I think that you would enjoy this game, Steve. And also, I played it on PlayStation. I plan on platting it. That's always going to be somewhat of a recommendation for you specifically. But it's just a fun, good game. It's a story. And I think Josh said this in the episode that he brought it. It's a little bit tropey. We've heard this story before, I suppose. It's not like, oh, the craziest story you've ever heard, but it is a well-told story and hits you in the heart just like any other story would that's supposed to impact you in the way it does, right? So,
yeah. I'm going to say, like, for your entire description, like, I'm just like, yep. You're just nailing everything, and I'm pretty much on the same exact wavelength as you. I will say, I just want to shout out the voice actor. I had it in front of me, Sydney something. She did awesome in the game, and I think that really helped to have that voice throughout the entire story to really push the narrative and make it just a little bit more special. I think that elevated it for me. I don't know how you feel about that, but it did help a lot.
No, yeah, I thought she did a fantastic job, and especially as she does the narration for Izzy in like the real world with the journal, and then she also does she's the actual narrator in the story. So like that transition back and forth, she does a good job. She doesn't even like sound the same at certain points, right? So she's very talented for sure.
Yeah, and then I was looking at the game itself. They haven't made another game. This is their only game. I cannot find any social media footprint for this team. This might be the only game they ever make as this group.
Actually,
so. You did
I
find
also
something?
was looking this up. I did dig something out from them. In 2024, they're working on a game called Soul Garden, which they described as a narrative puzzle game, which makes sense given their history, focusing on improving mental health. So, probably something that's, a little different, but also certainly in their wheelhouse, kind of based on what you're talking about here. But yeah, they've been very radio silent. I had to really dig to find like a couple of tweets from way back in the day. There's nothing about it on their website or anything. So I was getting a little nervous. Like, did the studio disappear after this game? But at least as of last year, they were still chipping away at something. So
that's cool. Yeah, the voice actor, just so I could say her name out loud, it's Sydney Marie Sakalis, and she hasn't done anything else, so I don't know what I was thinking about her doing a bunch of other voice acting gigs, but she's great, so,
Yeah, she was really good. Okay. Well, that will bring me right neatly to where I would put it on, where I would have put it on the quest log. For me, and I would be interested, Josh, if you had played it this year, Josh, I wonder, based on what I'm about to say, how you would quest log it now, I suppose. Mm-hmm. For me, this is a pretty comfy, cozy side quest. Right. Feels like there are a few caveats, and it's funny because even way back then, and it was a new game, and you obviously didn't have nearly as many games under your belt bringing to the quest log as you do now. And you said back then, you're like, I was very much on the fence with this one, but the way it wrapped up kind of pushed me over to main quest. And I can say that it does wrap up nicely, so totally agree there. The little bits, especially in like the storybook section, kind of held me back. If those were a little bit stronger, I would have had a better case to potentially put it on the main quest. But for me, it would have been a side quest. And like I said, the journaling sections are awesome. They should have explored that more, in my opinion.
They're so good. I'm thinking now that, I don't know, maybe I'm a little more discerning, or maybe I know what the quest log is because we've lived with it for 5 years now. Yeah. That maybe I would be like side quest, for that one, just because I remember having a moment where I was trying to, I don't know if trying to place a word, or I couldn't figure out what a word was doing, or it was glitching somehow. And it was like frustrating. I had a little bit of jankiness too that I remember when I played. But I mean, it's a great game. It's a really, I like the story. I still remember the story, and I'm like, damn, that was, it's right in my heart.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Very, very good story. And it's one that I'll certainly think about. It's one that kind of made me think about recent events that have happened in my life with loss and everything. So very happy I played it. But for me, like I said, a side quest. So cool.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting, Josh. It's just a good call out. If someone is ever listening to the show from the beginning to now, we don't do numerical scores or anything, but if you think of the border between the main quest and the side quest is kind of like you got to be over or under the average in some ways, like that number as we add new games and score them in our heads and hearts kind of like oscillates back and forth, and as time goes on, the more numbers we have, the like kind of more locked in it is at the spot that it landed. So these days I think we're a little more confident individually on where we would place a certain game, whereas back then you and I think we're a little bit more like,
is this a main quest?
If we didn't really like it, is that a side quest? Like,
yeah,
is how much do I have to have loved, how passionate about this game do I have to feel to main quest it, all that sorts of stuff. So
yeah, point. Now it's shorthand. I use it in my household. I'm like, oh, so how was that so-and-so game you played? Oh, that was a side quest, more of a side quest feeling than a main quest. We use that as shorthand now because we kind of know what that is. I wouldn't have done that in 2021, right?
That is such a crazy thing that if you had brought that up in conversation with anyone else, they'd be like, what are you talking about, a side quest or a main quest, that had not heard this podcast. So that's too funny.
Yeah.
That's so good. All right. Well, I'm up next on the sheet, so I suppose I can share my game as a reminder for folks, or if folks didn't listen to the last episode. Seth assigned me 3 options. He gave me the choice of Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, Stories from Seoul, The Gundog, and Carto. And similar to Seth, there was one of these 3 games that kind of felt like the front runner. I'd already expressed a little bit of passion about talking about it. It's a 2025 game, so there's a little added, compelling reason to play Stories from Seoul, the Gundog. So I chose Vengeful Guardian Moonrider.
Heck yeah, buddy. We're on the same wavelength. I like it.
I actually kind of did that for a few reasons. One, consciously, because I was like, I think there's a very real chance I will just play Stories from Seoul anyways, because I do really want to play it by the end of the year. And I remember talking to you about Vengeful Guardian Moonrider to the point where I was sold. I remember on the show, I was like, oh yeah, I'll play this for sure. And I bought the physical copy on PlayStation because not long after Limited Run put out a version. So I was like, I've had it sitting on my shelf waiting for an opportunity. And it's like, no better opportunity is going to present itself. So
heck yeah.
We went with Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. Little bit of the quick details. This is developed by Joy Masher. Folks might be more familiar with what I think is their more popular game, Blazing Chrome. Mm-hmm. They also did Oniken. It released January 12th, 2023. It's available on everything. And we originally talked about this game on episode 51. So
long time ago.
Interesting. Still. I think of this as like one of our newer additions to the not new, but I was like, yeah, this is a pretty recent game that we talked about. And then I go and look and I'm like, actually, that's in the first half of the body of the show, and we are deep in the second half now. So like this was over half of the show's life ago that we talked about this. So did you
go back and listen to that episode for this? I wonder how that was. That was a long time ago.
You did a great job. You've been solid since day one. I did not remember this, but it's the episode 51. We had a guest on. It was community member and friend of mine, Ross, was on that episode.
Oh yeah,
so
nice.
Go back and listen to the episode. Ross.
He brought Skull, and then you brought that, and then Seth brought. I was trying to look it all up, so I had it in front of me. Seth brought.
Well, I brought.
Did you bring Skull as well? Is that how it happened?
No, I brought Vengeful Guardian Moonrider.
Right, you did. That's what you brought. Yeah, yeah. No, sorry.
I remember before that episode. I didn't remember that was the episode Ross was on. But Ross and I didn't play Skull together, but we both played Skull, right? So we talked about it a lot. And going into that, I thought maybe we would just both talk about it, and then I ended up just playing this game, and then so we just added some fluff to it, I suppose. But yeah.
And our stats are missing something. I didn't listen to the whole episode. I just listened to that chunk. I don't actually know what I brought that episode because it's not.
It's not labeled
on the quest log.
I'll figure it out.
It's still sitting on my podcast app right now. I'll just click play after the show's done and figure out what I talked about. Maybe I didn't talk about anything. I don't know. But
yeah, there was some weirdness that happened to quest log at some point. I just know it on that one, but we'll figure it out.
I mean, folks will know there's big chunks of episodes that like don't have an episode number because we haven't retroactively gone back and added it, but we will.
I need to do that. One is
IndieQuestPod.com if you ever want to see that list. So what the heck is Vengeful Guardian Moonrider? Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is a modern retro throwback indie action 2D platformer. And I would say it is borrowing from a lot of influences between the Super Nintendo and PS1 generation. Specifically, I would say it's kind of a mashup of Shinobi 3, Mega Man X, really Mega Man X like 4, 5, and 6, and a little bit of Contra in there too. Which is funny because I went back, I wrote those games down in my notes before I went back and listened to the episode, because I did that earlier today. Went back and listened to the episode. Seth compares it in the episode to Mega Man X. Mm-hmm. Then I chime in and say, that it also reminds me of Shinobi 3. And then Josh chimes in and says it gives him a Contra 3 energy. So I was like, wow. we were spot on with what we thought this game looked like.
I will add, as I just looked at a screenshot, and I don't know if maybe this is a game that is very inaccessible to most people unless you play a ROM of it, but it also gives me some Hagane energy. Right, it does that. The ninja thing. You're like a robot ninja, I suppose, in this, but yeah.
Yeah. Similar-ish to that. I also compared it a little bit on that original episode to Ninja Warriors.
Yeah,
for folks that have played that.
Mm-hmm.
But the structure, the way that it plays, is going to be familiar to people that have played games of this era. It is essentially the Mega Man structure in that you play an introductory stage, then you're set up and opened into kind of like a set of stages so you can play in any order. And then once you finish all of those stages, you go to kind of the last run of stages and you can finish it. It is also structured like a Mega Man game in the sense that when you play those levels, you will play through them, then you'll fight kind of like a themed boss that has some sort of like identifiable hook. You know, you are the moonrider. You'll fight like Sunrider, who has a lot of flame-based attacks. You'll fight, I forget all their names, but like someone that's focused on water attacks and stuff like that. And so you will then get their powers and you'll be able to use those as your special attack as you continue playing through the stage. I don't actually know Mega Man style if certain like special attacks are stronger against certain bosses. I never noticed if that was the case, because honestly, any special attack is really strong against the bosses. Like, you almost feel a little overpowered in this game. Like, you cook in this game.
Yeah, I think and I've never played Blazing Chrome, but I feel like I've heard several times that it is a pretty challenging game. And this is kind of a contrast to that. Like, getting some of the high level ranks, because I assume, Steve, you probably platted this game already. I got all achievements on PC back then, and it's really not that hard to do. I mean, it's certainly more challenging than just running through the game, but it's still not an uber challenge. Like I felt like back then, I feel like today they could have done with like a harder difficulty to challenge people, because it on the outset, like you look at this and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a tough one, right? And then once you learn it, it's maybe a little bit of a credit to the game, and you might be going to get into this, but it's just a very smooth, well-playing game, and it's just not very challenging in that way, which is okay, I suppose. Not every game has to be nails hard, but it looks like a game that would be hard, I suppose.
Yes, and in some ways it was kind of refreshing, because I feel like this is a really good example in a lot of ways that I'll get into, of borrowing some ideas and some things that the developers really care about from retro games, but not just trying to make it like as hard as possible. It reminds me of almost like a Shovel Knight in that way, where they took pieces, but then they made like an accessible modern thing, which is cool. So you will go through, like I said, you'll go through those different stages. You'll fight those different bosses and get those different sub weapons. As you're playing, you only have a couple different kind of like options in terms of movement and attack. You can walk and or run. Your sprite is pretty big, so this isn't like the type of game where you're like dodging all around a screen or all around bullets and stuff like that. Like if you're not dashing, your character's tall and they move pretty slow, again, which is why I compare it to a Shinobi. But you then have like kind of a standard melee attack that you can do a 3-hit combo, and you can do your special weapon, which there's a big variety of special weapons. You know, they range anything from like kind of a bubble shield set of shurikens to like this long eldritch tentacle that kind of warps in from another dimension. Very visually, very cool. A lot of stuff that's just fun to use. It's not usually super relevant because, like we said, the game's pretty breezy in a lot of ways. Almost every enemy, and it's funny you said this exact same thing back then, almost every enemy will die in like 2, maybe 3 hits. And funny enough, you can like double tap or hold a button to dash or run. And when you're running, if you press the attack button, you do kind of this like lunging attack, which is like 5 times stronger than your normal attack. And pretty much kills every enemy in the game in one hit. So you can just run through the stage and you see an enemy sprite showing up, you hit attack and you'll cut them in half and just keep running. So it's breezy in that regard, which is why, kind of as Seth said, when you finish a level, you'll get different ranks based on a combination of what you discovered, points, which is basically how many enemies you killed and how quickly you did the levels. And pretty much every stage, I would get any number of ranks my first time through. You know, a couple of them I got an A, a couple of them a B, got a bunch of E and D ranks. But almost always when I went back to get the S ranks, which you need to do to get the platinum, I was able to get the S rank on a stage like my second or third try. Like once you kind of know where to go and you have special weapons that you feel good with, because again, they're very strong in this game, you can pretty much run through the stage and just kind of like be a killing machine.
Which I don't know how you feel. I suppose you can comment on it. I recall that I didn't hate it all that much because there are bosses in this game which are basically, like Steve alluded to earlier, they're basically just different versions of you. Yeah. So you are supposed to be like this uber strong killing machine. And you feel like an uber strong killing machine. So that's, they kind of nailed it. I kind of hate when you're supposed to be this super strong dude and you die to regular grunt guys super easily. Like they made you feel strong and you are strong. So
exactly. And to that point, I feel like you feel as strong as the other boss enemies. Like every boss fight feels like a fair fight. In Mega Man, even though you're all just robots designed by the same people, Mega Man's getting just torched by these guys, right? Yeah. Like 3-4 hits and he needs to get 20 shots to kill them. Yep. Here it feels kind of like an even exchange of blows.
Yeah, it feels like a duel, right?
Yeah,
like it's
very
like
much so.
Truly, you are going back and forth with an evenly matched foe. So it's cool in that way. I enjoyed that.
Which is, it's thematically appropriate. This is not a game that you play for the story at all, but like the 2-sentence description is that there is kind of this group of guardians, I suppose, that serve as kind of like an elite robotic force that are aiding like an authoritarian government in oppressing its people. And you, the moonrider guardian, decide, like you have a change of heart, basically, like a switch in your conscious, and you're like, actually, we shouldn't be doing this. And you are going through and killing the other guardians to kind of basically to let the rebel groups like take back whatever country. Yeah. They don't get into specifics. It's very much, it is as much story as you would get in a Super Nintendo game. So faithfully, in fact, that the game, like, I think probably on purpose has like grammatical errors and like words are spelled wrong and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So. The flavor of this, like there are a lot of games that we have brought that are, pixel art that, I always reference like Sea of Stars. Like Sea of Stars references a time that makes us nostalgic for it, but there is zero chance that would run on anything that it is referencing. Yeah. Whereas this, I could absolutely see a Genesis cart of this game, right?
Yeah.
And it might be a little bit too fast or a little bit too good looking, but it feels right at home like you were playing it in the mid-90s.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
There's some like in the trailer at least, there's like a corridor where it's like a 3D, you're going into the screen a little bit type of area or something. I feel like that wouldn't run. Maybe that's pushing it just a little too far.
Yeah.
Or they'd have to turn that graphics down. You know how easy it is, game dev. You just switch the graphics slider and you slide it down a little bit and then it works perfectly.
It's not that hard.
That's just how it works.
It's like they sneak into like, Sega 32X territory.
Yeah.
Right. All that raw power of the 32X.
Yeah.
A couple of like standouts, because I feel like for a retro platformer like this, the reality is they are kind of a dime a dozen. There's a lot of games in this ilk, so you kind of need to know like what makes this game worth your time. I mean, one, if folks know the developer Joy Masher, I think they would know that this is kind of like a standout developer in this space, making some of the best games. To that point, this seems so oddly specific, but this game, for my money, has one of the absolute best CRT filters that any game has ever had. Mm-hmm. It is so good. Like, it is so not even just like accurate to what a CRT looks like, but I feel like a lot of games will have like a CRT or a scan line filter, and it'll just be the horizontal scan lines, and the screen will be like, half the brightness, and you're like, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing. But the CRT filter in this game, you can it's almost like when you get close to a CRT and you can see the individual colors, like the red, green, blue in there. You can see a little bit of that, and it's blurry. It's slightly domed at the outside of the screen like a CRT display would be. It's just so faithfully recreated. And I played the entire game with that on because it blurred it just enough to make me feel like I was playing it back in the mid-90s.
You got to play this game on the biggest CRT ever.
Yeah. World's first, 70-inch CRT.
The thing would have taken a team of elephants to get in and out of the car, right? In and out of your house and the car. But yeah.
It's like a crane lift for your CRT.
Yeah, seriously. You see it on Facebook in 10 years, free to a good home, but you have to move it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'll give a shout out to this game for is the soundtrack is really good. It is different from maybe what you would expect a soundtrack in a game like this to be. It certainly has a little bit of kind of synthy sort of chiptune energy to it. But maybe this is it leaning more into the Genesis side of nostalgia, but it's very bass heavy. Some of it is almost like club music. It's very thumping and heavy and just kind of groovy at parts, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, and just from the trailer on that one, I'm obviously I'm the one here who hasn't played the game. I'm just going off the trailer, but I pressed play and it just literally, I was like, this sounds and feels like the sound of it. The sound font, I guess, would be like Sonic Mania, is what I thought instantly.
Yeah,
it has that Sonic energy to it.
Yes, and it's just. Yeah, it's unique, which I appreciate, because a lot of times games doing this feel so beholden to those influences that they're almost afraid to step out and do anything on their own, but this game's not. So pretty, like Seth said too, pretty quick game, fitting. It's rental length, fitting for a game like this. You'll finish the game probably 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 stages or so. Not too difficult, especially with the one other thing I should mention is there's an optional equipment system in the game. They call them chips that you'll hunt and find those in the levels, and then you can equip 2 at any given time that upgrade your character. And some of them are just so overpowered that they'll make the game that much easier. You literally get one that gives you a double jump when there's no natural double jump upgrade in the game. You'll get one that restores 1/5 of your health for every enemy you kill, and so you'll just never run out of health. Plus there's health drops everywhere. So if you take the time to hunt all those chips in every level, which you'll need to do if you're going for all the Steam achievements or the achievements on Xbox or trophies or whatever, that'll add another maybe hour or so, and then you're going to hunt down all of the S ranks and add another hour or two. So it's like an afternoon to finish, and then maybe another afternoon to finish it up is the kind of game. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything to cover here. You can go back, listen to episode 51 if you want to hear even more about it. But as we round out my thoughts, is there anything either of you... is there anything, Seth, do you feel like I missed? Or Josh, is there anything that you feel like you want to know about the game?
I don't think you missed anything. I don't remember. Did you say that I put it on a side quest? It was a side quest.
You did put this game on the side quest, yes.
As context for people who aren't going to go back to 51, but these episodes are always very nice for us to plug. Generally 3 other episodes for everybody to go listen to if you've only been here for a little bit. But I just remember this game. I put it on a side quest. I'm trying to remember why. It's pretty easy, which was probably a detraction because it just doesn't seem like it would be. But realistically, it's just a really good game. I think I probably just wanted more. It seems like it gets over before it starts. Once it gets going, it's over. And that was frustrating for me, I think, back then. It's like, why I want, or just give me another one. I would play it again, right? Just give me 10 different stages and let me do it again, But Yeah, so I mean, I enjoy this game very much, but obviously there are reasons I put on the side quest back then too. So,
and to kind of close the loop on that, then I would pretty much agree. I would call this like a very solid side quest. I'd maybe even be a little warmer on it than you, although you enjoyed it quite a bit.
yeah, that's good.
But it's just, it's like I said, it's a very comfortable rental kind of game. If this game came out on Super Nintendo, it would be called a hidden gem everywhere. A cartridge would cost $700. Like, it would be a valuable and beloved game. It's just, there's a lot of great games like this. I would call this type of game, when I'm trying to like think of how to describe something like Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, to me it's like, every now and again you go to Chipotle and that person making your burrito is just in sync with you. You're on the same wavelength. They're giving you the perfect amount of ingredients. They're balancing it well. They're not skimping on anything. And you eat that Chipotle and you're like, man, this is great. The rice isn't too salty. The guac and the cheese are mixing. Like, they crushed it on this one. Like, you just leave very satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to put it on a list of my favorite restaurants or meals of all time? No, it's just a damn good burrito, and that's okay sometimes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is it's a damn good burrito of a video game.
Awesome. I love that. This one's been on my wish list since you talked about it. But I don't know. Like, this one feels like a one that would be an easy, what do I want to play today? Oh, I got a few hours. Just buy it real quick if it's on sale and jump in and have a good time type of vibe.
Yeah, Josh, you would have fun with it. I think anybody would have fun with it,
Yes.
so you would certainly have fun with it.
It's the burrito thing is a good analogy. It's mashed potatoes. Like, there's just nobody. If you have any nostalgia for the 90s and like action games, then you would enjoy this game. Like, if you are a 90s kid, you would enjoy this game. I'm glad that you brought it, Steve, because it is like criminally underrated. It is only a few more than 400 user reviews on Steam currently, which Joymaster is a fairly well-known indie dev. It's like, it just seems weird that people haven't played this game. Like, not very many people talked about it back then. And so I'm glad that you're shedding a little bit more light on it, because while, we do have 2 parts of the quest log, side quest games are still really good games. And this is one of those types of games. It's like, you're going to have so much fun with this game. Is it the best game ever? Is it going to blow your doors off? Probably not, but it's still awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's totally worth your time with it. It's totally worth the, like, I don't even know, $15 that the game costs. Like, check it out, people. It's a good time.
All right. My turn. Steve, you made this hard for me. These games are all bangers, man. Like, this is a hard list. All right, we got the 3 that you signed for me was Hyper Light Drifter, Ultros, or Pseudo Regalia. Both are all 3 are games people would be like, yeah, that was my favorite game that year. Like, these are banger games here. So I was kind of trying to decide, do I wanted to go a little bit older? I was like, Hyper Light Drifter is probably the oldest one here. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, screw that. I want to play Ultros, so that's what I played.
Nice.
Let's go.
I had Pseudo Regalia just marked down. Like, that is what Josh is going to play. And you played, like, you surprised me. I think everyone surprised everyone this episode. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
I thought Ultra stood no chance. So I'm so happy to learn this.
Dude, it's just such a chunky game, but yeah, sick.
I had to play it. It's actually not as long as you think it is. It's not that bad. It was like 15 hours, I think, or something.
Okay.
But there are other things you can do at the end. I won't spoil to make it a little bit longer, and I'm kind of working through that as we speak. But this game is let's start off talk about a little bit about this game. Steve brought it to episode. Let's see, I had it in front of me as well. I think it's 79.
Yep.
Sounds right.
I believe that was the episode, or one of the episodes, of course, that I wasn't on. I think that was when Potomax was on. Nice.
Yeah, Poto was on.
This is the first time live on air that I'm going to get to actually listen about Ultros. So I'm kind of pumped. Like, I listened to the episode, but yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah. It was Steve. Steve brought Ultros, and you know what's funny? That same episode, I bought Balatro that episode, which is just crazy. And I'm like, out of the 3 of us, I'm probably the least Balatro obsessed, which is funny, but it's just ironic how that worked out. But anyway,
I hadn't played it at all at the time. Yeah. So
yeah. No.
whatever. Listen to me, like,
cool
so
little card
innocent.
game.
Yeah, Josh, bring us some card game. You know?
Yeah, whatever. So Ultros.
Yeah.
The real banger. Well, honestly,
yeah.
Ultros is good. Anyway, the art style is the first thing you're gonna notice when you see Ultros. You pull up a screenshot, you're gonna see the neon yellows and greens and the bright blues and purples. It just really hits you in the face with this. I mean, stained glass is the first place my mind goes, but beyond that, it's an artist, right? Like specifically and based off an artist's body of work, right? I forget his name, but I should have looked that up. Steve's like, I'll look it up.
It literally looks to me like somebody bought a 12-pack of neon Crayolas and accidentally let their 3-year-old little kid brother eat them and then puke them all up. And that's what Ultros is just. It is so incredibly vibrant. There is not a game like it in that way. It is so
There's no
loud.
game that looks like this game does. With respect, like it's beautiful.
It is.
That combined with the Amos Roddy soundtrack. It's Amos Roddy, right? It is. It's fucking. Oh my god, this game
dude.
like it just hits you with everything from the outset. Like I was
It's Rat Vader.
What was it? Sorry,
It's Rat Vader.
Rat Vader. So it's based off of an artist named Rat. Oh, that's the music. It's Rat Vader. Yeah. Okay, Rat Vader. Amos Roddy. It's not the correct one. The correct person. I apologize for that. Anyway, I had all this stuff in front of me, and I always just have this habit of just closing everything. Anyway. The game is beautiful. You're going to get hit in the face with just like sights and sounds. It's going to look and sound unlike anything you've ever experienced. This game is gated exploration with a twist, which how deep should we go on that part, Steve, on that part? Because I know people are touchy about spoilers. We even had a spoiler segment, if I remember correctly, for the little mechanical spoilers for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know the part I'm referring to is I would leave things off that referred to that. That makes it sound like we're talking about Inscription. Like I'll let people know this is not an Inscription. Like things don't go truly off the rails, but there is kind of like a sort of a recontextualization, like a point in the story where you're going to be like,
oh yeah,
oh damn. And I think that moment of discovery is really powerful if you don't know. And the game is completely worth talking about before that anyways, so I think we're fine to leave
it is it even says in the description it is a loop type of game where there's a loop that you have that goes through, so I just don't know how far I want to go with it. But anyway, it's very much you have a moveset and you build up your power set and you beat bosses and you explore areas to find the MacGuffins, which are these like encased guys that basically will arisen or bring from dead Ultros, which is this giant eye that just will overtake this ship that you're on. That's the basic premise of the game. So you're beating bosses to defeat the ultimate big boss, which that's very much Metroidvania, gated exploration. That's what you expect. But the package of the gameplay is really fun. It's really good. I have some criticisms of that part. We'll get to it. And then the music and the art style, you just thumbs and down on the gameplay here. It's very much up to taste on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I got good taste, so we'll see. No. I have a little just minor. I'll get to them. There's some minor complaints for the gameplay. I feel like the controls, it just doesn't control as snappy as I was expecting it to from the trailers and everything. I just feel like it's a little slower and a little more plotting than I was expecting, but you do get used to it and it just becomes second nature. That's just it's a very small criticism.
So what you're saying is it's no Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. I mean, I get it. It's a good job.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I mean, one man's slow and plotting is another man's deliberate and intentional.
Oh, wow. Look at Mr.
Yeah.
Thesaurus over here.
But yeah, I would when I'm playing the boss fights, the boss fights are just the shining part of this game. I would say a lot. I mean, the exploration's really fun. There are a lot of really cool and unique things. But when you get to the bosses, I won't say any of them are like super challenging or going to crush you or like you're going to be there forever, fighting these bosses, but they're always creative. And there's this one specific boss that is going to stick with me. So there's an area. I'm not going to spoil anything too deep. I'm just going to be very vague, just so don't worry, you don't have to click off. There's a whole area with a very specific and new type of gameplay mechanic introduced, and then they have that mechanic incorporated with the boss. And I know Steve knows exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That whole dungeon and that whole area, like, I was already having a good time with this game. I was like, damn, this is just shooting on all cylinders. This is the type of thing I love. And then they did that whole segment, and I was like, oh, this has something else to it, it's just, and this game keeps doing that. Like, every time you think, oh, I know what this game is, they're like, yeah, well, what about this? Suck on that, you know what I mean? Figure it out, and you're like, oh my god, I never even thought this could be in a game of this type, and now that it is, I want more of this, you know what I mean? And they do that so much in this game. So obviously I had a great time with it. Gameplay's really cool, and like, it's a loop, so there is a mechanic in there. I'm not going to spoil when it happens, but you'll kind of start over with nothing and then kind of have to build up again. But they actually make that feel very good. It's not like a roguelite where you're like just stripped of everything or anything. I guess it somewhat is, but not really. But it has that feeling where it's like, I'm not starting from ground zero. I'm like, okay, I'm starting over, quote unquote, but not really. We're just going to the next area and we're going to keep on going. It doesn't feel like it's a reset point when you loop, quote unquote, in this game.
This is a question, I suppose, for both of you, since you're touching on it now, Josh, with gameplay.
Yeah.
This game, for whatever reason, has been polarizing for a lot of people. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but maybe not quite as like Blueprints or something, but there are people who absolutely love Ultros. And then there are people who, for whatever reason, really don't. And I've not played it, so I don't really know. And now you guys both have. And I know Steve is very high on it, and Josh, we're going to find out. But do you think that some of that specific gameplay part where you're having to rerun was a shock to people, and that's why they don't like it? Or are you going to get to the reasons why people don't like it? I don't really know why people don't like it, I guess.
I'm not really sure, like, why people don't like this game, to be honest.
I can think of a couple reasons. One, there are just some people where it is actually, the art style is too much. Like, it is too vibrant. It's visually overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think the game even has options for you to, like, turn down the visual noise because they know some people can't deal with that. But I think, honestly, for the people that can push past that are like, I just don't get it, Ultros is like, in terms of gated explorations, in a Metroid game, you wait till you get the super missiles, and then you go look at your map and you're like, show me all the green doors. I'm good. Ultros has some of that, but it's also a little squishier. Like, there's a lot of things that there's not like a clear solution to this puzzle. You just have tools and options, and you have to kind of figure out how you want to do it. And there's a little bit of, I think, intentional imprecision to that, in that, like, sometimes it'll feel kind of janky, your solution, but it's kind of supposed to feel a little janky. But also, like, your resources that you use for this solution will impact your options to solve this other thing over here. So I think some people end up feeling like it's a very frustrating game, like a lot of friction to the game, that they're like, this is not smooth the way I want it to be.
I could see that perspective, but this game, okay, this is the first Metroidvania game, or game with a big map. We call them around the house. Our house, another colloquialism that we'll use is this is a map game. This is one. This is the very first one of this style of game that I didn't look anything up. Period. Like, I didn't even look. Like, a lot of times when I'm on Hollow Knight, I'm like, where the hell do I go? I have no idea. I've been across this entire map 7 times. Somebody give me a little tiny hint. Just say a character's name. Where do I go? This time I didn't get lost at all. This game felt linear to me because I'm like, okay, obviously I'm going to this next area. It just clicked with me. I don't know. I could see people having friction. Like, where do I go next? But when I see map markers, I'm like, okay, obviously I got to get to that map marker. There's got to be a way to do it. Maybe not this go around, but let's focus maybe over here instead. It didn't really feel like, to me, just from my gameplay sessions, like I was having a hard time with it. But I could see that. One thing I do think and I could see this being an issue, is there is a lot of like the backgrounds are super detailed. So you sometimes will think like, hey, is that a platform? Nope, it's not a platform. Okay. Or can I interact with this thing in the background? No, not really. Like, it just looks really cool. That's why it's back there. You know, there's a lot of that in this game. And I could see that being frustrating for people when they're trying to explore a map too, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So I will say the whole package, the gameplay wasn't really what I was expecting from the speed, but I got over it pretty quickly. There is a power-up that I would avoid. I'm just going to say it's just so minor, but there's a power-up that you can lock in that is a back dodge when you're jumping. I hated it. I'm like, I'm never going to use that. I don't want to back dodge when I'm jumping in a 2D platformer. It just didn't feel right to me. I was like, if I'm going to be dodging in a 2D or, you know, dashing, I'm going to dash forward, not back. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was one I was just like, I'm never going to get that one again. I'm just not going to have it equipped, you know? Sometimes that happens, but yeah.
Does Alucard do that in Symphony of the Night? I think that's the only thing I can think of, that there's like a back dash like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what it's like paying homage to or whatever. Yeah. But yeah. But the exploration was really cool. Boss fights were really, really great. I like the enemy design. I think everything looks kind of nasty and gross, and they're like bugs and squishy, and everything's living, and it just feels like a really unique and just vibrant and fun world to be in, just because of how kind of gross it is at times and how beautiful it can be at other times. And it has that feeling of there's this ominous like evil that you're trying to conquer. You can just feel it every time you go through every new area. It's just oozing with atmosphere. That's the number one thing I'll say for this game. 2 is great gameplay. I really enjoyed it. 3, awesome music. Like, I really don't have much detractors other than saying that it was just a little slower than I expected it to be, but then you get used to it, and then I'm like, this game kind of rules. So any comments or anything before I put it, you say where I would place it nowadays, even though it probably sounds pretty obvious.
I'll just say, you know, to like kind of refresh people, what stuck with me so much about this game is, in addition to the soundtrack being incredible, when you're playing a gated exploration, the environments are so important to your experience in those games. You know, I'll keep using Metroid as an example, but Hollow Knight works too. You know, the different like biomes and the spaces that you're in give so much flavor to what you're actually doing, so that even if what you're doing is like relatively standard by gameplay, I guess, standards, like that is the sauce, that is the seasoning that is making this game what it is. Ultros is like that turned up to 11 because the environment like truly is like another character in the game. You know, this is a game where you are like planting seeds and harvesting and growing things in the environment. Like you are, there's so much that you will pay so much closer attention to this world relative to any other gated exploration you will ever play, because you are so like directly linked to the going-ons of all the different places that you inhabit and explore and your impact on them. And that is like true from moment one, and only gets more true as the game goes on, up to and including some stuff we're not talking about. So
yeah, I didn't even mention the gardening like stuff, because it's like, I don't want to ruin anything from this game. Like, it's like one of those ones, it's like, it's best going in not knowing much about it, like, and just discovering on your own. But the gardening mechanics where you can plant different plants that will lead to different things, and then when you discover what a certain plant does, any of them, you're gonna like, oh my god, this one does this. Oh, this opens up like 7 new areas I can just think of on the top of my head that would be useful now, you know. So it just has those moments like the Outer Wilds where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, you know, like, or like Animal Well, like we always talk about that game, how great that reveals things to you. Just like it has those moments, like I will say like every hour to 2 hours, like, and it's like a 15 to 20 hour game, you know. So if you want a game that's going to make you go, oh my god, this game is going to make you go, oh my god. That is a really good touch point that I didn't have when we first talked about the game to sell you on it, Seth, is if you like that feeling of like, oh, I don't even want to spoil Animal Well items. I got this item. I don't even know what it does. And then you figure out what it does. And then later you really figure out what it does. Yep.
that happens in Ultros a bunch of
Okay.
times.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Steve, you were right on the money with this one. This one's a main quest, and I'm really regret not playing it last year because I feel like it would be like we would have had a bigger discussion during Game of the Year. Like this game needs to be played by more people. Like it's damn good. So I'm really glad I took the time and made the time for this one. And I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go with the longer of the three, but I know I'm gonna have a great time, and I do not regret it. So awesome game.
Heck yes.
It was funny because I remember discovering Ultros last year. And because it came out early, it came out in February. So I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be an early 2024 playthrough. And then Steve played it. And as soon as that happens, as like that's just very typical, right? Unless someone says you must play that, like it's a game you should play. Sometimes I miss it, right? I don't play it. I listen to Steve talk about it. Steve loved it. I'm like, great. That's all I need from that. But I mean, that we were talking about at the top of the episode, that was very much a Spider-Man thing. I was off that episode because I was in Nashville, I think. And I would have played Ultros had Steve not played Ultros last year. So it's just
Nice.
it's one of those things, man.
You
Just
need
how
to,
it works.
Seth. I'll just say it right to you. You need to play Ultros at some point.
Yeah.
like you need
Yeah,
to
I
play
know.
this game. We
You
all
do
three
need
need to play this game. Like it's like this is an indie banger. Like it's like gonna go down as one we're gonna be probably referencing back to. Like another game's gonna like have a similar art style. We're gonna be like, oh yeah, it was like Ultros, you know, or they're gonna do some mechanics from Ultros. Oh yeah, that's like Ultros, you know, like it's gonna be a touch point type game, I think. So at least for us.
I'll tell you what, Josh, you play Inscription, I'll play Ultros. That's our deal.
Let's go.
Do you-
my bro's playing great games.
Let's do it. I actually plan to play Inscription during Halloween, or at least leading up to October. So I'll probably play that in the next month or so.
Cool.
Do
Yeah.
it.
All right.
One last shout out I want to give to Ultros before we move on is, for those not familiar, Lost in Cult, which is a website that does a bunch of incredible art books and just like design work, like basically tomes discussing the entire development process and a whole bunch of art assets for various games. They're kind of selective about the ones that they choose. They have one coming out for Ultros, which is written by friend of the show and guest from a couple episodes back, Sean, Gaming in the Wild. So he put that together. I have mine on pre-order, and it's coming out later this year when I'm actually going to receive it. They've got like gorgeous deluxe editions and regular standard editions. So definitely, if what we said intrigues you, or if you're a fan of the game, go give that book a look, because I know John put a lot of work into it and it looks incredible.
I will make sure to put that in the description too. So if you look down below, you'll see the link. Go check it out. All right, awesome. Let's run that back real quick. We had Lost Words Beyond the Page, which Seth seemed to enjoy. Would probably put it on a side quest today, though. And then we had Vengeful Guardian's Moonrider, which Steve and Seth were on the same wavelength with, which, you know, that's a side quest, but hey, it's a banger. It's a good burrito. And then we got Ultros, which I absolutely loved and agree that it should be on the main quest. I love second opinions.
Yes.
They're always so fun.
I know.
We ran the gamut on that one. I feel like we were kind of on both sides of the fence for one of them. We agreement on the bottom end, quote unquote, and on the top end, like, feels good. How do you guys feel about this type of second opinion? I thought it was fun. I enjoyed having 3 games to pick from. Like, it was, I had a thoughtful process around going into it and ended up selecting mine, but I thought it was cool.
I would happily do this again. I would say maybe, I was going to say this, but then Josh went ahead and played Ultros anyways, which is a pretty meaty game. Depending on what we assign each other, it would be good to put an OST episode in between the assignment and the playing, so that we can assign each other longer games and not feel guilty about it. Like we're torching the next 2 weeks for that person.
Right.
I think that's a good plan. So the next time we'll do that, and then maybe we'll just take the other person, assign it, you know, just flip it to the next.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll be giving, you know, just do the circle the other way around, and then everybody can assign their games. So you can keep that in mind kind of think about it going until we get to there again, which will probably be like,
fun.
4 or 5 months from now or something.
Yeah,
So
Probably January, February would be the perfect time.
Oh,
for
it would be.
Yeah.
It would be a good time.
yeah. So we'll revisit that and keep this whole thing going. I feel like this would be a fun thing to cycle through too. All right. Well, we can talk. We'll do campfire chat, but I do want to shout out before I forget that the next 2 episodes, just kind of shout out what we're doing the next 2 episodes. It's just the OST brought it to mind. So next episode's an OST episode. So we're going to be talking about music, do our whole listening party thing. If you guys have any songs that you recommend, you can send those in. We've recommended that before, and we've had people who said, hey, this song's awesome, and we listen to them on the show together. So if that sounds like fun, send in an email at indiequestpod@gmail.com. And then after that, we're going to revisit our Supergiant games, and we're going to be playing Pyre. So we're going to give like a full month for people to play Pyre. So if you haven't played it and it's in your backlog and you want to play it and then, hear what we have to say about it in about a month here, perfect time to do it.
For sure.
Heck yeah.
All right. And then we have a campfire chat Spotify review. Who wants to read it?
I can read.
No, I want to hear, based on the words that are in this, I want to hear Seth read this.
Yeah. So this was written by, I think, Pele Web. I believe that's how you say it. Pele Web. I'm very sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And they say, find those indies, you little freaks. And freaks is capitalized. So find those indies, you little freaks. With an exclamation point.
Love it.
What a refreshing format for a video game podcast. I heard of this through Gaming in the Wild. Shout out again to John. And have been working my way through all of 2025's episodes. I love the show. Shout out to Seth, Josh, and Steve for making a unique pod and maintaining the quest log doc for all of us indie perverts, quote unquote, out there. And that's probably why Steve was salivating at being able to read that, because he loves to say perverts whenever he can, a la Polykill.
That's true. I try to keep the language, relatively above board. We try to keep her PG-13 on
PG-13, yeah.
A pervert spills over from time to time.
Yes, it does.
And sometimes you hear me just shouting dicks really loud too, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought genital jousting to the show, so we
That
don't always
too.
keep it
Yes,
PG-13.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for reaching out to the show and leaving reviews. We always appreciate that. And if we miss one or something, let us know, because we actually like reading them on the show. We like patting ourselves on the back and being like, hey, we got listeners out there who are listening. So let us know. But if you submit comments on any podcast app, we usually catch it and we'll read it during our little community campfire chat segment. So that's awesome. All right. I think it's time for plugs. It's that time, isn't it? Okay. Thanks for hanging out with us, listening to our second opinions on some indie games maybe you haven't heard about. I'm sure that so many people haven't heard of Lost Words Beyond the Page, because they didn't listen to episode 20. So that's
Right,
awesome that we had that conversation today. That's why these episodes are so fun. So anyway, if you want to support the show, leave us questions, comments, concerns at IndieQuestPod on Blue Sky, or send us emails, like I said a few minutes ago, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch and Blue Sky. I almost did it again. Twitch and Blue Sky.
It's like 15 years of saying it, it's hard.
It's impossible to unlearn. As Blinkoom, Blink OOM, M like Moonrider. Seth, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Drachma, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, the best place on the internet. And if you want to get into that Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, and get into that first tier. You should be able to get in there and come and chat with the three of us. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Josh Leslie. You can also find my other podcast about movies, a monthly show called The Monthly Mishap I do with my buddy Scotch and Hobbies. If you want more podcasts to pass the time, why not check out? I'm trying to put my announcer voice on. What more podcasts to pass the time? Why not check out the Polymedia Network? Polymedia Network of shows includes movies, shows about movies, games, nostalgia, and more. Go to polymedianetwork.com. Perfect.
It's pretty good.
That was wonderful.
I felt that.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying. Well, who wants to close us out today with some parting words?
I could do it. I think that you didn't do. We talked before the episode, before we started recording today, a little bit about Josh's other podcast. I am going to shout it out again here for our closing thoughts. Everyone, Scotch and Hobbies was on our show. I don't know, a few episodes ago. That's probably been a lot more than a few episodes by now, but. 89. A very good friend of ours. Episode 89. Very good friend of ours. And Josh is obviously a very good friend of ours because here he is sitting. And I will say that it's a very good... If you just enjoy listening to two dudes talk about things they love in media, it is just a really fun podcast, man. You guys are just both really excited about stuff. And I've very much enjoyed listening to them as I've been doing outdoor work this weekend. So go check that out. Yeah,
I'm so bad about plugging myself, so it's like, so thanks. I'm like, I don't want to bother you, you know. I have another show, but I don't want to bother you. You guys already got this far to this show, you know what I mean?
Yes, right.
Yeah. All right.
See you guys.